Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another live edition of Wealth Building Wednesday. Wealth Building Wednesday is just another way for us, TRHT Selma, to connect to the community and to connect to each other. Selma, Dallas County, the Black Belt of Alabama. This is our opportunity to build wealth. And TRHT Selma is a partnership, a proud partnership between the Selma Center for Nonviolence and the Black Belt Community Foundation. We welcome you, all live viewers, to our conversations. We broadcast live each and every Wednesday, 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, and we rebroadcast live on our media partner, WB AFZ 105.3 FM. And we are super excited this morning to have with us an expert beyond experts. Y'all, we're going to learn so much about this thing called philanthropy. We're going to talk all things nonprofits. Again, 30 minutes really quickly. So on your lunch break, you'll be able to hear the ins and outs of nonprofits. So even if whether you have your own nonprofit or you're thinking about starting a nonprofit organization, this is the place to start. So friend, tell a friend that Wealth Building Wednesday is on live, and make sure that you like, comment, and share this video. So I do want to welcome our esteemed guest, Ms. Torin Brazzle. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We could not talk about nonprofits without talking to you. You are an extraordinary woman with so many accomplishments, and we see your logo behind you. Could you take just a second to tell us who you are and what Ignite is? Share with us.
Yes, I am Torin Brazzle. I'm the founder and executive director of Ignite, formerly Ignite Alabama. And Ignite simply is an organization that exists to bridge the gaps of communication amongst minorities and all of the amazing individuals and corporations and organizations and service providers that exist to serve us. I am 22 years in as a nonprofit leader. I've been serving in nonprofits for 22 years. I've been in executive leadership for 14. And over those years, I literally just continue to have conversations in my head saying, it cannot be this hard, because without fail, every time I heard of an opportunity personally, 9 times out of 10, one of two things happened. Number one, the opportunity was over, and I would find myself saying, oh my goodness, I didn't even know that was happening. Or number two, by the time I heard about it, it was so close to the deadline that I did not have an opportunity to competitively compete. And so Ignite was formed in 2019 at our core to serve those issues and to make sure that we as a people, especially it's for all minorities, but especially Black people, that we have a seat at the table. But in order to have a seat at the table, you have to be aware that it exists.
Absolutely.
And so that's who Ignite is. It's grown a lot. I see that you guys are actually funded by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. We too also wrote a grant and competed and was awarded a seed grant. And I will share more about that. But for those of you guys that are listening, make sure you go ahead, if you haven't, tell a friend to get on, because you're looking and you're listening to someone that literally put together a proposal for a national foundation, was able to get them to have a conversation with me, and then to actually even turn around and fund the project at $600,000. And when I started talking to them and having the conversations, I wasn't even a 501c3 yet.
All right. Now that says something. So listen, if you are tuned in and watching Wealth Building Wednesday with us, you better, like she said, tell a friend to tell a friend. If you in nonprofits, let's jump into the questions, because people have a lot of ideas about what a nonprofit actually is categorized as. So what actually is a nonprofit? Because if folks have friends who are either in leadership sitting on boards of directors for nonprofit organizations, may even be thinking about forming nonprofits. What is a nonprofit organization?
So, believe it or not, you actually have different types
Okay.
of 501c3s. They're different designations. But what we're going to talk about today is what is
Mhm.
called a public charity, which is the most common nonprofit. And it's the 501c3 status, and it's a public charity. And this is basically a nonprofit. And this is something I want you guys to know. Executive directors and founders typically come up with the idea, corral everyone, get the partners in, and you one of the things you have to do is to build a board of directors. What a lot of people don't understand, Lydia, is that your
Mhm.
board of directors is actually who owns and has all authority where your nonprofit is concerned, not your executive director, not your founder. And so, and well, it's not your executive director and your founder if they are paid employees. Because
Okay.
with board of directors, no one that's on your board can be paid by the organization,
Mhm.
nor can they have any relatives or friends that are being paid. That's a conflict of interest. And so a nonprofit simply for this point of today's conversation that we're going to talk about a 501c3 public charity, and this is a public organization that is ruled and governed by a board of directors. And you follow, basically, you have to have bylaws and just all of these things. But it's a public charity that we're going to talk about today. And it's something that is governed by an independent board group called a board of directors that don't have any type of financial ties to the organization. They can give, but they can't be paid or be related to anyone that's being paid.
Absolutely. So that's good to know, simply because we can't be beneficiaries if you're going to list yourself as a member of the board of directors. You can't be beneficiaries of the organization that you're a part of. So
No,
now,
you can't. It's against the law.
right,
Let me just be very clear.
right,
It's
right.
against the law.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So now, why though are nonprofit organizations important to our community?
Nonprofits are, in my opinion, are very important because we are the hands and the feet. We are the ones that exist to help the least of these. I am a Christian, and I just believe that you really should treat others the way you want to be treated. And so we have the flexibility, we have the mission, we have the purpose to do what, say, maybe for profits
Mhm.
do not, that they don't exist for that. And so we're able to do with for profits and corporations and things of that nature. Simply, they may have a desire to do, but their
Mhm.
structure is not created for that. And so nonprofits, we fill that gap and void to take care of our local communities.
So now, there are a lot of nonprofits that have emerged over the last year or so to do just what you described, saying that, oh, look, she covered her face, yeah. So because of COVID, we've had a rapid response, to because people do seem to have a desire to be just what you said, the feet on the ground, the people, the boots on the ground who are serving the interests of the people. What are some of the major challenges you've seen, folks who, especially those who are just starting out with nonprofit organizations? What are some of the challenges that you've seen nonprofits encounter?
The challenges that I've seen and the reason why I covered my face
Hmm.
is because while, yes, there are a lot that have emerged,
Hmm.
many of them have emerged doing something that is already being done. And so
Mm.
that's what's called a duplication of effort.
Okay.
And so, whenever you duplicate an effort, even though you have this new, bright, amazing idea, and you're going to jump out and you're going to be the change that you need to see in your community, and you get the 501c3, you do all of that, then you start trying to get donations and you
Mhm.
start getting denied. The reason why you're getting denied is because while it's a new and great and bright idea to you, To that philanthropic leader that you've actually submitted that request to, you're asking them to fund something that they've been writing a check for the last 3 years.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And I love the term when you said duplication of effort, because when we see that, when we see people attempting to do the same thing, one of the goals might be then for us to, instead of attempting to do the same thing, is to maybe partner with or become a part of the existing organization.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely to partner. What I would encourage you guys to do is to literally, number one, and I have, Lydia, a nonprofit success tip guide that I've put together that I'll share with you for your listening audience and your viewing audience.
Mhm.
And literally, is everything that I've learned in the last 22 years and the things that I learned that positioned me to be able to get a $600,000 seed grant from a
Yes.
national foundation. I literally have laid it all out in there. And the number one thing and question you have to ask yourself
Mhm.
is, why are you doing this?
Mm,
Is it something that you were really, that God really called you to do? And if
mm,
it is, then yes, I want you to move forward. But if it's not, if someone has convinced you that getting a 501c3 is just an easy way to get some money, right? Oh yeah, Lydia, that's why I covered my face. Because
yes.
you people, you see a lot of emerging nonprofits because there is this horrible misconception
Hmm.
that it is an easy way to get money,
Right.
that you get a fight. No, it is not. Fundraising is hard. Y'all are looking at somebody that has been in the game for 22 years. And I literally had to go and bring in $600,000 national funds back into the state.
Hmm.
And this year, I literally have only raised to date $186,000 on top of that, right? Which
Hmm.
is a major thing for a Black-led nonprofit. But
Hmm.
I literally saw on social media yesterday where a white-led nonprofit that hasn't even started yet, just have a great idea,
Hmm.
literally received a $200,000 donation, seed donation from a local corporation that I've been trying to get $10,000 from since January and haven't got
Wow.
it yet.
Wow.
So
And
let me tell y'all, it's not easy. And
right.
but if God calls you to it, then he is absolutely going to go before you and prepare the way. But this is not for the faint of heart. So that's the reason why my first question to you is, why are you doing this? And as
Absolutely.
long as that's for the right reason, keep moving, right? But if you're not doing it for the right reason, stop, save yourself a lot of time and energy,
Yes.
because it's a huge headache and you're not going to win the battle.
I'm so glad that you talked about people being attracted to the dollars and knowing your why, because the very first thing, whether you are forming a nonprofit or a for-profit, is
Mhm.
to know your why. What
Yes.
is your mission statement? Who are you designed to serve? What will you be doing? I hear my friend Crystal Allen in my mind, like repeating those things because I've watched her do several in services or professional development trainings for nonprofit organizations in the area. Well, and actually school districts. That's where I've seen her perform the most. And it is just really interesting to me how many people, and I've gotten calls because people realize that I write grants as a part of my position with a local nonprofit. And it's like, oh, well, can you write me a grant? I actually had a lady search for me. It's like, well, can you write a grant for me? And I said, okay, so I specialize in health related grants because there is a specialization to it. When you're seeking
Absolutely.
funding, you learn the lingo, if you will, or you
Yes.
learn the connections and the resources, the people who contribute to certain types of things,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so I said, so what's your why? Like, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. I just saw this grant out here. I said, wait.
Listen, and
I
let
said, no,
me tell
ma'am.
you something about
No,
that.
ma'am.
For all of you guys that are listening,
Hmm.
reading is fundamental.
Yes.
If you have a 501c3, please, for your sake
Hmm.
and for the sake of the person that you're going to send it to, make sure that you read about that funder and
Yeah.
you clearly understand the priorities that they have,
Mhm.
parameters that they may have, and make sure that what you're doing fits that. For example, if you have an after school program and you're needing funding for that after school program,
Mhm.
but this grant is actually for a homeless program,
Right.
do not submit a funding request to them.
Right.
So it is very important. Now, the good thing is, once you've written one grant,
Mhm.
you really have written them all because most of them, the
Follow
fundamentals,
the
and
same.
again, the information that Lydia is going to share with you guys in my nonprofit success tip guide will lay all of that out. Everything that's in there, literally, you would be able to use and take to answer any grant request that you may find. But at the end of the day, you've got to make sure it fits. And if it's a fit, then ask it. And then the next thing is know that when you submit that funding request,
Mhm.
you literally have to submit at least 100 requests just to be able to potentially get
One.
10
Yeah.
yeses.
Mhm.
And when you get those 10 yeses, you get excited and you be grateful for those 10 yeses. But please do not fall apart because of those 90 no's,
Right.
because those 90 no's is normal. And Lydia, that's something else that people are not being honest about as it relates to those of us that are nonprofit leaders that have made it. We're not being honest with people about the struggle. The struggle is real with fundraising. It's something
Absolutely.
you got to be doing every day, all day, in order for you to keep a continual potential, stream of resources coming in from grants. And the next thing is that has to just be one source. You have to diversify. When you're talking about fundraising, you can't put all of your eggs in one basket as it relates to grants. You got to look at building relationships locally with your corporate partners and leaders locally, finding
Yes.
out if those people that have a passion for whatever it is that you exist to do and connecting with them. Like it's a lot that goes into this, honey. And you only got 12 minutes left. So we'll probably have to come back. But
Yes,
I'm just telling
ma'am.
y'all that are listening, if God called you to it,
Yes.
absolutely keep moving. But it is a method to this, it is a process to this. And at the end of the day, you can't get around it. And so, you'll be spinning your wheels and like this hamster or a person that's on a treadmill, expending all of this energy going absolutely nowhere. But if you slow down and you make sure your foundation is firm, you cross your T's, you dot your I's,
Yes.
that's what Ignite is for,
Yes.
then you will be able to continue to move and to progress forward. I have 3 of the nonprofits that are within our group that we helped apply for a local community foundation grant. And I told them, no, don't ask for 100,000. Let's just go in right now and ask for their giving is $8,000. Let's ask for that. Get your foot in the door. Let
Right.
them get to know you. Then next year, you can come. Now you still can't ask for 100,000, but you can ask them for 10. You can ask them
Mhm.
for 25. You understand what I'm saying? But it's
Mhm.
stair steps. We want to come in, start a nonprofit, and start asking people for $100,000 and $1 million. Where they do that at?
Well, and what you just said around the fundraising piece, making sure that we're not shaping our mission according to the dollars that are available, right? So, like you said, with if you have an after school program and you see dollars that are dedicated to building, say like a homeless shelter or something like that, a shelter for people who are unstably housed, then maybe you could check a couple of those boxes, but why reshape your whole organization or try to fit within the box of the funder as opposed to actually seeking out funds that match what you're doing? Because what you'll end up doing is, and I've seen it happen, and I know you have seen it happen in your years of experience, watching organizations just start shooting off and doing all sorts of things, and
They
now you
call
become
it
everybody's
mission.
answer.
They call it mission creep.
Ah.
They call it mission creep. And so that's the reason why what you have to do. If you go to our website,
Mhm.
www.igniteal.org, and look at the About Us section, there is a logic model that's there. And feel free to take it and use whatever you can out of it, right? There's nothing new under the sun. But that's my holy grail.
Okay.
I follow that because for a lot of years, Lydia, I got caught up in doing a whole lot of good things, but they were not a God thing for me. And
Mhm.
so today I understand the importance of staying focused, right? So as long as it falls within my logic model, then that's what I'm supposed to be doing. That keeps me from creeping off because it's easy to do because you can sort of start making stuff tie together and work together. You think in your head, and before you know it, you're out in the middle of the ocean on a
Mhm.
raft that literally has a slow leak in it and you're going to drown. So,
Mhm.
and that's another reason why it's so important for you to have a strong board of directors and then also an advisory council, because those are folks that help you. But I want to, because we only have a few minutes left,
Yes.
and I know you had quite a few questions, so let's just sort of fire away.
So you were just talking about the board of directors when we are forming or reorganizing even nonprofit organizations.
Mhm.
What are some of the things that we need to look for when it comes to people being on board as a part of the board of directors?
So, number one, for your board of directors, you want individuals that are very passionate about
Mhm.
what your nonprofit exists to do. Then you also need individuals with the following skill sets. You need an attorney. You need someone that has a strong financial background. So that's a bookkeeper, an accountant, or a CPA. You also need someone with a strong marketing background and like a salesperson, because think about it, fundraising is nothing more than selling your organization. So if
Mhm.
someone is an amazing sales associate at your local department store, or if they're an amazing car salesman, or if they're an amazing pharmaceutical rep, then guess what? That person might be a great candidate for your board of directors because they have the skill set to go out and to help you sell your nonprofit and garner funds, because the board of directors primary role and responsibility are two things. Number one, oversight of the nonprofit fiscally to make sure that you're abiding by your budget, you're doing what you're supposed to do. That's the reason why you can't be paid. And then number two, fundraising. Like those are the two major things that your board members need to do. So you want someone that is very well connected in the corporate community and locally, philanthropic community, somebody that they can go through their phone, make a few phone calls, send a few texts, and right before you know it, checks are coming your way. That's who you want on your board.
Awesome. So now we do still have just a few more minutes, and we definitely are going to have you back because this is quite the interesting conversation. And it's important that we know what we're looking for when it comes to shaping the organizations that will become the boots on the ground, right?
Mhm.
Like you said, having that firm foundation, and I know that Ignite can help us do that. What is philanthropy? Because you talked about the person who can pick up their phone and start the dollars flowing in. What
Mhm.
exactly is this term philanthropy? What does that mean?
So, with philanthropy, that is literally basically a giver. That is someone that is going to invest and help the least of these. That's what they exist to do. And it doesn't have to be a corporation, it
Right.
doesn't have to be a CEO. I'm a philanthropist. You're a philanthropist,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Philanthropy is not just financial resources, it's your time, it's your talent, right? If you go and volunteer, that is just as valuable to a nonprofit, you giving them your time, as you writing them a check. Now, the checks are helpful. We
Yes.
need the checks.
Yeah.
But it is really important that we begin to create a culture
Mhm.
and that we help understand that, you know, for me, my neighbor, her husband died a few years ago, and now she's declining in her health. I happen to notice because I work from home that she's walking with her walker trying to put her trash out. I had never seen it before, but when I saw it that first time, now my husband puts our trash out. he goes over and he gets hers and he sits it out too. That's a
Yes.
philanthropist.
Yes.
A lot of times we think about philanthropists and we just think about somebody just writing that check. But
Right.
philanthropy is literally you looking and seeing. This is my opinion. Now, y'all can Google and look and see what Webster got to say. But Torin, my opinion, my definition of a true philanthropist is someone that looks within their sphere of influence to
Mhm.
see how can I make my world better, and you begin to give your money, your time, your talent towards those things. And to me, that's what makes someone a philanthropist.
Awesome. So now, why is it important then to give to nonprofits? What difference does it really make?
Oh God, it makes all the difference in the world because we literally exist to do those things that you don't have the time to do. You may have the heart and the passion to do, but you don't have the time to do it. And a lot of times there's this huge misconception because you're a nonprofit that you should like you I see so many that like spend every dollar they have. They wipe out their bank account. No, you cannot do that. You
Right.
have to operate. You have to have paid staff. I'm telling you, I got to come back
Yeah.
because I really need us to understand. So to answer your question, it's very important to give to nonprofits because we exist to basically fill those voids and those gaps and to serve the least of these. And we need money and resources in order to be able to do that. It's hard enough as it is doing what we do because you literally are taking, two fish and five loaves and
Yeah.
really just making it work. That's who we are that's our framework. But so you don't want to have to be worried about how you're going to do this and how you're going to do that. So that's why it's important. But for nonprofit leaders, I got a whole nother conversation for them.
Yes. Listen. Well, I am so glad that you said that because when we think about and even what you referenced in the beginning, when you talked about being a Black led organization and the difficulties that Black led organizations can often face with when it comes to fundraising, especially from foundations. Now, TRHT Selma is truly grateful for our funder, WK Kellogg. That foundation is a huge foundation that
Yes.
funds things all around the world. And so for them to look at Selma and say, you know what, we want you all to be a part of this TRHT, Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation initiative that we have.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. That means so much. One as co-director of TRHT Selma, I really one of the things that I really, really, really want us to be able to do is to show just how much transformation things like Wealth Building Wednesday, things like the grants. We literally during the pandemic were able to help some small businesses stay afloat because of the Kellogg Foundation and because of the community. So I mean, shameless plug, you can contribute, right, to TRHT Selma. You can
Yes.
literally log on to our website, trhtselma.org, and make a contribution
Mhm.
to forwarding the work because the Kellogg Foundation does not have to stay around and support us. This
Mhm.
is something that they have. Selma is a city that they found interesting. Selma
Mhm.
is a city that they found to be um, a space where they felt like TRHT could really get a foothold and help to bring transformation in a community that has suffered from poverty for years. We
Mhm.
went from being the fourth most wealthy county in the entire United States to now we are one of the eighth most. I think 2 years ago we were like the eighth most dangerous city in Alabama, and our poverty level continues to rise.
Wow.
So transformation can occur with your help. So when we say give, make your choice. Give wisely, right? You can log.
And give consistently. This would
Yes,
be amazing. Give, schedule that automatic draft, $5 a week,
absolutely.
$5 a week, right?
Yes,
It's 52 weeks in a year. Just
yes,
think about it. Do the math. You
yes.
understand what I'm saying? $100 a month. That's fine. But if nothing else, do $5 a week. We spend that at McDonald's.
You better know what to say. Listen, we're going to have you back. We appreciate you for taking your time out this morning to share such valuable information with our community. So thank you, Torin, darling Brazzle from Ignite. And thank you to all of you all who have tuned in and either watched live or you're listening on WBFZ 105.3. We thank you for your support. Don't forget to log on and contribute. Listen, you like Wealth Building Wednesday, like she said, put it on auto draft, $5 a week, trhtselma.org. And we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday, 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, right here for Wealth Building Wednesday. Thank you so, so very much.